Welcome to the Developers Integration Lab training and demonstration video for OPA Connectathon test participants. The purpose of this training video is to assist OPA Connectathon test participants with DIL registration and execution of an initial smoke test to verify configuration and communication between the participant gateway and the DIL. The Developers Integration Lab, or the DIL, is an open source tool developed and supported by AEGIS.net for the purpose of testing interoperability among various healthcare systems. The DIL utilizes the most up-to-date standards and rules for interoperability to ensure that various gateways can communicate healthcare information with one another. Please note that the DIL is intended for use by developers and technical analysts. Onboarding with the DIL requires knowledge of your test system and firewall settings. In addition, running the OPA pre-Connectathon tests requires knowledge of the family planning profile messaging specifications as well as the underlying specifications. You will also need to know how to create and install a Connectathon certificate. This video should be used in conjunction with the DIL user guide, which is available from the DIL homepage. Throughout the video, we will highlight where the documentation will be useful in completing specific steps demonstrated. Before you can execute tests in the DIL, there are a few things you will need. First, you must have a gateway that is capable of processing retrieve form and submit form requests and responses installed on the system that you will be using to test with the DIL. Ensure that the firewall settings for your test system will allow responses from the DIL. A list of the machines used in the Connectathon testing environment can be found on the FPAR 2.0 Standards Collaborative wiki space. You will need the machine name or IP address of the machine or machines that will be used to communicate with the DIL. You will need the target service references for the retrieve form and submit form services in the DIL Connectathon environment. The target service references can be found on the FPAR 2.0 Standards Collaborative wiki space. Finally, you will need to create and install a Connectathon certificate. To create a certificate, go to gazelle-gold.wustl.edu/certificate. Follow the directions on this page to generate your certificate. Install the certificate on your test system. Now you are ready to register in the DIL and configure your test system. The first step is to register an account. The URL for the DIL pre-Connectathon and Connectathon testing environment can be found on the FPAR 2.0 Standards Collaborative wiki space. To register, click the Register button on the DIL homepage. Enter the security code and click Verify. Enter the registration information. Details on each field can be found in Section 2.0 of the DIL user guide. When you have completed the information, click Save. Once the registration is successful, you will see the DIL login page. Log in with the account name and account password you just created. The next step is to configure your test system. You may create one or more test systems in the DIL. For example, you may have a test system under test used by developers and another system under test used by QA analysts. The DIL allows you to create both of these systems under a single account. The only restriction is that each system must have a unique home community ID. Click the test system links to get started. Click Add New System. Enter a name for the test system, for example, Development Test System or Staging Test System. Specify the gateway you will be using. If you do not see your gateway listed, you can select Other and enter a short description. Most of the fields in the upper section of the screen are not required. However, you must enter a home community ID. Specify the profiles and actors that are supported by your test system. To narrow down the list on the left, you can select a specification from the drop-down. Highlight your choices and click Add. Specify any additional components that are part of your test system. You must specify at least one component. Once you hit Add New System, you will see a section of the screen to add the machine or machines that are part of the test system. You must add at least one machine name for this test system. Click Update Test System. The OPA test scenarios are initiator scenarios, which means that your system under test will be sending requests to the DIL and processing responses from the DIL. When you register your test system, you will not need to configure or publish any endpoints, as these functions are specific to responder test cases. Let's get started with the OPA pre-Connectathon testing. Log into the DIL and click the Setup Test hyperlink. The test case documentation, which can be found on the FPAR 2.0 Standards Collaborative Wikispace, gives details on the service set, scenario, and test case names that can be found in the DIL. In the documentation, you will also find detailed test steps, expected results, verification requirements, and specification references. The first step to running any test in the DIL is to activate the service set that includes the tests you wish to execute. Details on executing initiator tests can be found in Section 3.0 of the DIL User Guide. First, select the specification you wish to test. The specification drop-down lists the specs that are associated with your test system or systems. If only one specification is available, the value will be defaulted in the drop-down. Next, click the radio button next to the desired service set. Then select a test system. If only one test system is available, the value will be defaulted in the drop-down. Finally, click Save and Close. A dialog box will display that asks if you want to close the active service set and create a new service set. Activating a service set closes out any prior active service set. Results for closed service sets can be found on the test history screen, which we will review later in this demonstration. Note that the selected service set is now highlighted as the active service set. To execute the test in the active service set, click Test Execution. You will see a list of one or more scenarios included in the service set. A scenario is a collection of scenario cases or individual tests. The scenarios are then aggregated into service sets. On this screen, you can see whether a scenario is an initiator or a responder scenario by the icon next to each. To execute a scenario or specific scenario case, click the hyperlink of the desired scenario. You will initiate the test from your test system. The target endpoints for the Retrieve Form and Submit Form services can be found on the FPAR 2.0 Standards Collaborative Wikispace. Please note that although you will initiate the test from your test system, you must still activate the service set and the test in the DIL prior to initiating the test. We activated the service set in the prior step. To activate the specific test you wish to execute, click the Activate button. Please note that only one test may be active at a time. Activating a test allows the DIL to show detailed results for this test. Once you have initiated the test from your system, you can refresh the test results within the DIL to see if the message was successfully received. The test is completed once you see Pass or Fail in the current result column. All other statuses indicate that the test is still in process. If the test seems to be taking a long time to complete, please check the Gateway Messages screen for any error message. You may also review the DIL FAQ for possible solutions. If you wish to re-execute a test that did not complete, please click Clear Result prior to executing the test again. To view those specific results for a test, click the test case hyperlink or the current result hyperlink. The test case current result summary page shows detailed information on the specific scenario and the validation rules or filters applied to each message. If the message passes the validation for a specific filter, there will be a green check mark in the filter status column. If a message does not pass the validation for this filter, you will see the word Fail in the filter status column. The flag for manual review, which is an icon that looks like a hand, is a notification to the validating organization to review that particular part of the message manually to determine pass or fail status. If there are no fail statuses for either the request or the response, the overall status for the test will be Pass. If there is at least one fail status for either the request or the response, the overall status for the test will be Fail. You can view the filter output and filter status for each transaction. A filter is a specific rule configured within the DIL to validate particular aspects of a test message. The filter message column gives details on the result of the application of this particular filter template or validation rule for this message. Please note that the test case current result summary page only shows the first line of the filter message. To view additional details, click the filter output column. If you click on the request or response hyperlink in the message column, you can see the specific message captured by the DIL. This is the message that was validated against the filter templates to determine if the test passed or failed. In the smoke test service set, there is a retrieve form and a submit form test. We recommend that you pass both of these tests before moving on with other pre-Connectathon service sets, as the additional tests build on the functionality of the smoke tests. Now let's look at some other features of the DIL. Once a service set has been closed or submitted, you can access the results of that test from the test history screen. If the service set is still active, the results are accessible from the test execution function. The Gateway Messages screen is another navigation path to test results. In addition, if a test has resulted in an error or is stuck in a non-complete state, you can view the message on the Gateway Messages screen and determine if there is a specific error. If the message is not available on the Gateway Messages screen, it means the message has not been received by the DIL Gateway. You can search and sort the messages on this page to facilitate researching. The Test Harness screen lists the home community IDs, specifications, and machine names for the DIL environments. The FAQ page gives information on various issues and problems that may arise during test case execution. You also have the ability to change your DIL password by clicking on the Change Password hyperlink. Now you're ready to get started. Remember, your first steps are to download and install your Connectathon certificate, update your firewall, register in the DIL, and configure your test system. Please contact DIL support with any questions. Good luck!